So it looks like utility companies are responsible for starting most of the wildfires in California. And it looks like that was the case again in the recent Eaton fires in LA. So guess what Gavin Newsom did when he became governor of California? He passes a law shielding utility companies from wildfire liability. And here is all of the tea.
We are now at 27 lives lost in those devastating wildfires.
We saw an apartment building engulfed in flames. I saw the fire engine pull up this afternoon, a fire captain have one of his firefighters attach a hose to a hydrant, and that hose didn't fill up.
The high school caught fire, homes burning on either side, and that fire over the last few hours just, I mean, look at the dust. It's dust right now.
Pacific Gas and Electric Company, PG&E, California's largest utility company, is responsible for igniting tens, if not hundreds of fires. And in 2018, their neglected equipment sparked the Camp Fire, the deadliest wildfire in the state's history. 85 lives lost, the town of Paradise reduced to ash, and over 30,000 residents displaced. And what did Gavin Newsom do? Well, during his 2018 campaign for governor, Newsom took $208,000 in donations from PG&E. And when asked by reporters how he could possibly hold PG&E accountable given their financial support of his campaign, Newsom dismissed the question as, quote-unquote, strange.
PG&E was convicted of 6 federal felonies in 2016. After that, you took more than $200,000 to help get elected. How should people trust you to be running the show to come up with the solution?
I wish you luck with whatever you're working on, but that's a strange question.
Is it that strange of a question? And when pressed on whether he would return the money, he said unequivocally, no.
Have you reconsidered giving the money back to PG&E that they contributed to your campaign?
No, my actions, the suggestion is somehow contributions have changed actions. Look what I just passed, look what I just signed.
Newsom was referring to AB 1054, a bill he signed into law in 2019 that looked like he was holding PG&E accountable, but in reality, the bill gave PG&E everything they wanted. The legislation introduced what they call safety certificates, except these safety certificates didn't actually require utility companies like PG&E to make their equipment safer, only to have a plan to make it safer. The law also allowed PG&E to tap into a $21 billion state insurance fund, half paid for by taxpayers, while shielding the company's shareholders from liability for fires their negligence caused. You see, he's clever because on the surface, it appeared that he's introduced an additional safety mechanism here in these safety certificates. But in reality, he's actually making things easier for the utility companies. Former members of the California Public Utilities Commission, the body responsible for granting these safety certificates, have alleged that Newsom's administration pressured them to rubber stamp approvals. One commissioner revealed that the decisions were micromanaged by Newsom's office with clear signals to greenlight certifications regardless of the utility's actual safety improvements.
Governor Newsom's office was micromanaging the PUC?
Yes. Yes. Anything that we sent out, anything that we produced publicly had to go through the governor's office.
As for the victims of PG&E's negligence, Newsom worked a deal where they would be paid in part with PG&E stock instead of a cash restitution. Predictably, the stock plummeted, leaving them billions short of what they were owed. Meanwhile, PG&E's creditors, including clients of Newsom's close friend and lobbyist Jason Kinney, were paid in full. And if the name Jason Kinney sounds familiar, it should. He was the host of Newsom's now infamous French Laundry dinner during the pandemic. If you remember, while Californians were under strict COVID lockdowns, Newsom dined maskless at a $350 a plate restaurant with Kinney, a PG&E lobbyist. That's Gavin Newsom in a nutshell.
He is going to overlook the basics of what we need in our state to cover for whoever he has made a deal with, and we are going to be sacrificed for that.
Governor, PG&E on its most recent earnings call said that it was going to go back to paying a dividend later this year. Meantime, the 70,000 wildfire victims are still waiting on their payments. They're being told not to expect to be paid in full. I'm curious to know whether you think that's fair and why, but more importantly, after your administration said that the state should ensure fire victims are treated fairly and fully compensated, Is there anything, what do you plan to do to try to get those victims to 100% of what they're owed?
Well, we're here talking about the pending looming fire that's in front of us, and I appreciate the question on PG&E. That's well-established territory in terms of the comments we've made and the work we did collectively, not only as administration in partnership with the legislature. I don't know about the dividends call at PG&E, and I'll have to get back to you on that.
Why is it fair that they pay their shareholders but not their victims?
I'm sorry.
He doesn't give a shit. He doesn't care. You see it on his face. When you bring it up, he's like, oh God, this again. And how many people in California have been affected by this?